So, guess who's back? I know. It has been a long time since I have done a podcast. It's been a moment. Scorpio season did a number on me. Not sure if it's because my North Node is in Scorpio in my first house placement, or just the amount of water that I have in my chart. But the Scorpio season was really rough. A lot of things came up to the surface for me to purge. A lot of ugly truths that my escapism of Pisces and Sagittarian placements try to get me to run away from. No, I had to get up close and personal with some of these demons of mine. And I'm grateful for it. Was it easy? Absolutely not. So that's my explanation, not an excuse, an explanation of my absence. But over the past few days, it came, as I've been working with some clients, it's come to my attention that there's a lot of people, and it might be because of the Mercury retrograde that just ended and we just came out of that shadow phase, but there have been a lot of people talking about exes returning, or just wanting to reconnect with exes. Not everybody, but some people. To the point of where it was like, okay, maybe let's talk about some of this stuff. Some of the stuff that, I personally had to divulge in and learn from. And what I've just heard from other clients of mine who have had some of the same issues. So missing the ex, missing the person. Before you jump full head into, I'm missing this person so much, I want to reconnect, let's fix this, there needs to be an honest conversation about what is it exactly you're missing. Okay, yeah, a loaded question, right? You're like, what? You just said I'm missing my ex. But are you really? Pause for dramatic effect. Are you really missing your ex? Step back a moment. Why is this person your ex? There's a reason why the person's your ex, correct? Okay. So before you even go into considering going back into a relationship with somebody that you previously left, or they previously left you, you want to look at whatever the issues were that caused that relationship to end. Have they been fixed? Have they even been talked about? Are they resolved? Can they be resolved? And if those answers to any of them are no, then you're just rehashing the same stuff over and over again, right? Now, if you're in a situation where you're both grown-ups and can have conversations and talk about things that caused the split, how to fix them, what during your break have you done to heal those aspects of yourself, and then, give it a go. Because in the sense, you are building off a different foundation. You are building and growing in new soil, not the old stuff. Okay? So this podcast is not going to be about you better not contact the ex. No, sometimes the break is for growth. Sometimes the break is to move your union off of faulty foundation and build it someplace sturdy. So there's reasons why all of those type of things happen. So this is not a podcast to tell you don't do it. It's just a podcast to tell you to make sure you consider all the elements before you move forward. Now, that's just a little caveat. But let's talk about the missing aspect. And the question again, are you really missing your ex? Okay, so I gave you some time to think about it. Let me offer another element to this. Kind of makes you kind of go a little bit deeper into your own, view of what's really going on. Are you missing your ex? Everything that they were, everything that they did, who they are to you in the 3D in life? Or are you missing the idea of who this person was? Are you missing your story, your narrative of who this person was, right? I'm outside with my pups, so I'm taking a moment for a second. Come on. To get them back in the house. But are you missing the person, or are you missing who you wish that person was? Are you missing the person, or are you missing the routine? Are you missing the person, or are you missing that expectation of a relationship? All very, very loaded, legitimate questions. Because if you are missing the person, okay, cool. Unpackage that. What exactly are you missing about the person? Can you identify that in qualitative statements? What about their qualities and things about them that you miss? Everybody has good qualities, right? Because if they didn't, you wouldn't have been with them in the first place, right? There's something that was there that pulled you together in the first place. So, yeah, I get that. But you don't want to be so blinded by the positivity or what you feel is the positivity of this individual that you ignore where some of the toxicity was. Or not even toxicity. Not every relationship that ends is toxic, right? It could very well be just it's bad timing. It could be very well be just things just didn't click. I mean, there's different reasons why relationships end, and it doesn't always have to be toxicity. So I definitely want to say that. You can have two very good, healthy individuals, but for one reason or another, it just doesn't work out. And I'm not talking necessarily about those types, but I am talking about the desire to reconnect because you miss the individual. So you want to be able to compartmentalize what's really going on here. And you can pull out a piece of paper. This could be an exercise, because I do like to do that, give exercises, right? And you can put the actual tangible things you miss about this person. It's kind of like a pros and cons list, right? Old school pro and cons list. But focusing on the actual tangible things you miss about this person. These should be things that brought light into your life. This should be things that increased your frequency, right? So I'm not really talking about the really superficial things. I won't say superficial. Maybe that's not the right terminology. But things that like materialistic, like he used to buy me stuff. That might be a reason why you miss him. But I'm trying to get us to go deeper onto the spiritual aspect, the energetic aspect, okay? So what is it about this person that increased your frequency, that brought life into your existence, right? That improved you, that made you want to do better. Every relationship should have those elements. And see how many of those characteristics you can list. Like if I identify my individual, I could say, And the fact that it's taken me a long time to rattle off a list, that's very telling, right? I could say he was always available for honest advice. Like he never told me what I needed to hear. He never told me what I wanted to hear. He always would say what I needed to hear, if it was pretty or not. So there's that. And that was helpful. Sometimes it didn't feel good, but it was helpful. What else? He made me feel safe. I mean, up until around the end, when he didn't. But that was an element. He made me feel safe. He made me feel like there was somebody who was there to keep me safe. Physically, in what I thought in the beginning, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. But then as the relationship started to deteriorate, that safety net, that idea, my perception, that wasn't there at all. And then it went from him making me feel safe to actually not feeling safe psychologically. I'm not feeling safe spiritually. I'm not feeling safe emotionally with him. Physically, yes. Did I feel that if we were someplace and something happened, he would protect me? Absolutely. But it's not just the physical aspect. Does this person make you feel safe and protected spiritually, emotionally, psychologically? If those answers are no, you really need to reconsider what's going on in that connection. So those are the couple things that I felt increased, my relationship with him, I guess, in the beginning. Now, if I look at the things that I've made the narrative about, what do I miss? I miss not being alone. I miss talking on the phone. I miss going places and having fun and making fun of people and blah, 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 blah. Like, those are all fun things. But then when you really dissect each one of those are actual tangible things, yes. But it wasn't so much about the union as it was for me, right? Is it the person I miss, his characteristics, his good, bad, and ugly, his energy, or is it the things that we did? Is it the routine? So let's be honest. Like, do I really miss him, or do I miss the routine? In some aspects, I could say it's him. Some aspects, I could say I miss the way he doesn't have to say anything. He can just look a certain way, and I know exactly what he's talking about. I miss that connection with somebody, with him. But is that something you can find with somebody else, right? Are those things that routine, is that something that you can find with somebody else? And the reason I'm saying that is because you don't want to use things and just kind of monopolize them to that one individual and say, well, I'm never going to get that sort of connection with somebody else, or I'm never going to get that level of routine and circumstances with somebody else. You won't if you think that way. You won't if you remain closed off to new opportunities because you're sitting in longing and pondering and just not removing yourself from that energy. You have to step away from that energy to be able to see it for what it is. Like, we know that saying that hindsight is 20/20. When you're in something, you can't really see it for what it is most of the time. Other people can see it, and they might tell you, but depending on who's telling you, you might not want to receive that, right? But when you step out of that energy, when you step out of that thought process, when you step out of that missing and kind of say, you know what, let's see what else is available. Let's see what, and not even available as in a relationship, but just you as a person. Who are you without that connection? You might like yourself better without that connection, but you'll never know if you don't step out of it and really see it for what it is. Some people get used to the normalcy. You get used to the routine. And I did talk about this in some previous podcasts. One was not falling for the seeing the person for what they are. I'll probably tag it in the description box below. But you have to step out of that energy to be able to see fully what's going on. And sometimes it might not be pretty. Sometimes it's not a good feeling when you start to realize, you know what, I'd put way too much into this person or into this connection where I lost myself. So when you lose yourself, when you lose who you are, when you stop understanding or recognizing your own essence, it's going to be even harder to pull yourself out because you don't have an anchor, right? You don't have an anchor holding you grounded. And that's another reason why sometimes toxic relationships are able to cycle in and out, in and out, in and out, because you have forgotten who you are at your essence. And once you're able to step back into that, who were you before this relationship? Can you answer that? Who were you before that relationship? If you can't remember, if you have amnesia, then whatever happened within this relationship kind of pulled you apart energetically to now you don't even remember. And that's also something to consider. So ask yourself, is it them that you miss, or is it who you thought they were? Is it the person and all the characteristics that you miss, or the routine? Because you can get routine with other people, right? You can get characteristics, they might not be exactly the same, but if you're not in the relationship with that person, do you want exactly the same? And I don't have the answer to those for you. These are just answers for you to help unpackage your situation. Like, one thing I tell my clients every time when they're really having struggles breaking away from an individual, I'll ask them, if right now, currently in your situation, and I'll probably end with this, so it's going to be a short podcast today, but I did want to get on here because I just felt led to do so. So, if you are having struggles with breaking away from somebody, struggles with detaching from somebody, you want to ask yourself this very important question. If right now in this current space, right, we're not talking about in the future, we're not talking about in the past, because really neither one of those exist. What exists is right, what's here, what's right now. If this is the best it's going to get with this person, is this what you want? Again, if today, right now, is the best, or right before you guys broke up, whatever, if this right now is the best it will ever get, as good as it's going to get with this person, is this what you want? And if the answer is no, there's some work that has to be done if you're going to consider going backwards or going back to that individual, and understanding that you can't change somebody else. They have to make the change themselves. So if they don't feel that there's an issue, guess what? This is the best you're going to get, because they have no reason to change. Now, if your answer is yes, like today, like, well, yeah, we broke up, but he was still the best thing that ever happened to me, and if this is the best it's going to get, I'm fine with that. This is not for you. There must be some other issues going on. But if you're not together, maybe you need to be a little bit more honest with yourself about the why. Because if you're in a situation where you're longing for something that you cannot have, is that something that you want to do long term? We have a limited time in this experience we call life on this planet. And you really want to ask yourself, are you really going to put time and effort into something that's not changing, that's not increasing your frequency, that's not obtainable? So again, not falling in love with the perception, not falling in love with the possibility, right? Not falling in love with potential. You have to look at what reality is. And there's some placements that make it really difficult. I have one of them. Being a Pisces sun, it's very easy for me to get wrapped up in what the potential is. Like, I could see this person being so great, and I can see us being so great together because he does this and I do that and we mesh well. But what's the reality? The reality is we can't communicate. The reality is there's some trauma scars that both of us carry that impact the connection. So yeah, potential on paper, oh, we look like we're a power couple. In reality, we can't even have a phone conversation. So bottom line with this podcast is really to help individuals who are kind of sitting on the fence, not knowing what to do, or just kind of stuck in that energy, in that yearning and longing. You might be doing binding spells, burning candles, things to try to attract this person back. But here's the thing. What happens if it works and you just attract back the thing that really should have left? You have to do the work, but so do they. Okay? So again, it's not about potential. It's not about potential. It's kind of like a resume. Like on a resume, people make themselves look amazing, right? If you ever had to go hire people, if you've ever been in HR, if you've ever had to be in a position where you reviewed resumes, no one puts their garbage on resumes. No one gives you people who will give them bad references, right? But then when you pull them in and when the rubber meets the road and you get to see the reality of who this person is, nothing like what the resume is. That's kind of the same thing with potential in your head. Oh, this person could be this, that, and the other. I can see it. Look at him. Look how he looks. Look how he maneuvers and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, in the relationship, when you get underneath that superficial element, when you get underneath that resume presentation, you get to see who that person really is. And that's when stuff gets real. That is who you're asking, is this somebody I can really connect with? Because they give everybody that superficial level. It's when you get underneath that, is that somebody you can connect with? And that's something that only you can answer. So again, I didn't want to make this podcast too long. Because I was getting some of the same scenarios with different people I've been working with, I just wanted to get on here really quick just to say, hey, no, this is not a judgy podcast. If you want to get back with your ex and everything I said made sense and you're like, still, like, he's done the work, I've done the work, we can do this, have at it, right? It's all about increasing your frequencies. But if you, after listening to this, are realizing, you know what, it's not so much the person, their set of characteristics, their energy, it's not so much them it's the routine. It's the potential that I thought we had. It's the narrative that I had in my head that this person was never going to be able to live up to. Okay? If that's what you're missing, then you want to pull yourself out that energy and really do some self-evaluation with yourself before you even consider walking back in those shoes again. All right? So hopefully this helps somebody. It did feel, I don't know, kind of like a quick little support group. But definitely do that little exercise. What is it actually about this person that you think you miss? And is it something that's unique to that individual? Or is it something that you have put in your head that really isn't reality? All right? It's kind of like the Cheshire Cat and Alice in Wonderland. Like, that's how dating is, it seems like. But you want to know what reality is and come from beyond the looking glass. Come back. All right. Well, hopefully this helped somebody. If it did, let me know in the comments. I'm going to try to get back on a schedule now that I'm out of Scorpio season and my Sag moon season. I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the light. So hopefully we'll get back on track with routine. I'm definitely looking for people who want to do guest spots on the podcast to have other perspectives, especially male perspectives. That would be awesome too. Let me know. My contact information is in the description box. You guys have an amazing December. Talk to you soon. Bye.